What's up, everyone? It is the Grim Sleeper himself, Joshua D. Maley, here with Night 2 of 31 Nights, 31 Frights. Every night in October, I'll be watching a horror or Halloween-themed film and offering up a quick, mostly spoiler-free look at it for you here, see if it's a worthy addition to your own Halloween viewing lineup. Tonight we're looking at Be Afraid, starring Brian Krause and Jamie Page, and directed by Drew Gabreski, from a script by Gerald Knott. This is a fairly recent film, released June 1st, 2017. Clocks in at about an hour, 39 minutes, and is unrated according to IMDb. The story begins with a very determined father, played by Kevin Grevue, and yes, I did have to look up how to pronounce that name, who is hell-bent on keeping something or someone from taking his family. He storms out of the house, roams the property, armed to the teeth, and ready for whatever it is he thinks is coming. Meanwhile, his terrified daughter is alone in her room and is somehow abducted anyway. Probably not the best idea to leave the person you're trying to protect alone in a bedroom. It is unclear what, if anything, happens to the girl's parents because we are immediately pushed ahead a few months, where we meet the actual main characters, John and Heather Chambers. Now, John, we quickly learn, has recently developed a case of sleep paralysis. This is a condition that occurs due to the dysfunction of or overlapping of the various stages of sleep. Upon waking, the victim cannot move or speak, and often experiences visual and auditory hallucinations in those first few moments upon waking. Sadly, I did not Google any of that. John senses and eventually sees terrible, dark, evil creatures during his paralysis episodes. However, those same creatures appear to his youngest son under completely normal circumstances, which kind of muddies the water a little bit regarding the rules by which these creatures actually operate. This is a very common issue with a great many supernatural horror films. The rules and the world in which the spirits exist not being developed enough that their actions, powers, motives, abilities, whatever, are consistent or even make sense. Unfortunately, Be Afraid definitely falls into this trap. Perhaps worse, the film is partially marketed as being specifically about sleep paralysis. But in the end, the sleep paralysis episodes are a very minor plot point that are never fully capitalized on. For anyone who's experienced sleep paralysis, it's a terrifying and scary thing to endure, and it really could have been used much more effectively here to set up the horror plot. Now, this horror plot involves weird, faceless monster things that are abducting children for some reason that is never really explained very well. Nor is it explained why John can only see them during his paralysis, but other characters can see them pretty much any time. The acting in the film is mostly solid. Brian Krause, best known as Leo the Whitelighter from Charmed, turns in a mostly decent performance, and Jamie Page really shines as his stunning, way far out of his league wife. Don't feel bad, Leo. She's out of everyone's league. Jared Abrahamson, try saying that 3 times fast, does a solid job as Ben, John's troubled son from a previous marriage. The production values are pretty solid. The monsters look creepy enough, although they fall into that same skip-frame, bone-cracking editing style that almost all movie ghosts have been using since The Grudge. The family struggles give an emotional center to the supernatural story, which, sadly, is by far the weakest part of the film. With no clear motives or understanding of these creatures, we're left with a series of creepy vignettes that are mostly meaningless. And it felt at times like the film was trying to transcend being just a horror film, and ironically, it succeeded more with the non-horror elements than it did with the actual horror story. So is it worth your time? Well, it's a far sight better than many of those other unknown or under-the-radar horror flicks that you'll find on Netflix, iTunes, or Amazon, but unfortunately that's not really saying much. If you're a tried-and-true horror buff who can't get enough ghost stories, or if you just can't get enough Jamie Page, you might find some value in this one. Otherwise, I'd say it's probably best to keep looking. That's it for this episode of 31 Nights, 31 Frights. Tune in tomorrow night for another quick look at more spooky cinema. And while you're at it, check out the other offerings we have here at Grimm's Scary Tales.